Hey y'all, and welcome back. Today's tutorial is on how I make my striped spooky season tumbler, so stay tuned. We are starting with a sanded and prepped tumbler from Craft Haven. This is a 30-ounce straight. It was painted with Rust-oleum 2X Ultra Matte and white. And as you can see, I'm just starting in with my stripes. I have an old cut-up t-shirt that I'm using to put the stripes on with, and I'm using my inks from PDB Creative Studio. And you'll see I just alternate between green, orange, and purple on the stripes. The black will be added as the very final step on the stripes. So I will speed this up and let you watch through as I put the stripes on. And now you can see I'm going in with my black alcohol ink. We're going to add our stripes. Right now I'm just laying down the inks in those little white sections that are left. You're going to have thinner stripes. Some are going to be thicker. They don't have to be perfect because when we add the other little decorations on top, it will hide some of those imperfections. Now we're going to move into our first coat of epoxy. I am going to be using Fast Set from Counterculture DIY. I will have a link in the description box down below along with the discount code for you. But on this layer we're just going to add a very thin layer, just something for our glitter and our little charms to stick to. We're going to use Toxic from PDB Creative Studio, and we're just going to sprinkle it on wherever we see fit. Be sure to add less at a time because you can always add more, but you can't take it away. Now we move into setting our little charms. In this case, I'm going to start with the largest, which is the spiders. You can start with and end with whichever you prefer, but we're going to be adding spiders, witch hats, bats, bones, and pumpkins that are all going to be set by hand. You can set them on any color, you can set them in any direction, that's entirely up to you. After this layer of epoxy is cured, make sure you add 1 to 2 more layers to make sure all of your glitter and charms are covered. And now we're going to move into sanding our tumbler. We're going to sand the rim of the tumbler very well to make sure we expose a thin line of stainless steel so that our final coats of epoxy have something to adhere to properly. Then we're going to sand the rest of the tumbler as well if we find any rough spots to make sure everything is smooth and ready to go. I'm using an 80 and a 220 grit sanding block. That's just what works best for me. But we're going to continue until we get everything sanded down, everything smooth, and ready to go for the next coats of epoxy. After we have finished sanding our tumbler, make sure you wash and dry your tumbler completely. I wash mine using Dawn dish soap and dry it completely before I add my decal. You can see this is going to be a layered decal. So for me, I like to add the back layer first. Some people layer it all together and put it on. That very rarely ever works for me, so I just stick with what I know. I'll put the back layer on first, and then I'll add the top layer. The orange vinyl for the main layer of the decal is an orange holographic from Teckwrap. You can see I first try to set everything at once with my parchment paper behind it to keep it from sticking it in certain places. But you can see I'm going to fight with it until I get it lined up the way that it needs to be. So just take your time, work slowly, make sure you smooth out any kind of air bubbles that you get, and take it one step at a time. Now that we have the main decal set and ready to go, I am going to seal this with a coat of Quick Coat from Counterculture DIY. That just seals the vinyl and makes sure that there's no air bubbles or things like that. And we're going to add our final 2 layers of epoxy, and that's it. Thanks guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and consider hitting that bell button so you're notified anytime I put out a tutorial. Thanks guys.